right, so this afternoon we're going to talk about slope and y-intercept form. We've been talking about direct variation, y equals mx plus b. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx, direct variation was y equals kx, so now we're looking at y equals mx plus or minus b. And we're going to talk about what those letters represent and how we can do this. So we've already talked about slope. It says identify the slope and the y-intercept in each of the graphs below. Compare it to the equation of the line. And what do we notice? Okay, so we have this equation, y equals 3/5 x minus 2. So we know, based on this equation, the coefficient of x, or the number in front of x, is always the slope. So we're going to write 3/5 here. But we can also count it. Look, they give you 2 dots. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So again, remember, slope is rise over run. Let's see if that makes it a little brighter. Very nice. All right, the y-intercept is where the graph crosses the y-axis, and this vertical line is our y-axis. So you can see right here, this is our y-intercept. We are going down 2, so we see it here, -2. So we have y equals m is our slope, -2. We use the letter b for y-intercept. I know that sounds weird. Think of b as beginning. So where is it crossing that axis? So let's look at this one. Again, notice this line is going down, so the slope is negative. 1, 2, 3. So down 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Positive. So remember, slope rise over run, and we can simplify this to -1/2. Notice that is the same here. That is our m. And then where did we cross the y-axis? 1, 2, 3. This is our y-intercept. +3. So when we talk about y equals mx plus or minus b, m is our slope. It's the number in front of x, the coefficient of x. B is our constant. It's that number that's all alone. So when we look, let's break this down into pieces. Y equals mx plus or minus b. So this is our slope. This is our rise over run. This is change in y over change in x. B is our y-intercept. This is where the graph crosses the y-axis. In a table, this is going to be where x is 0, and it's whatever number you have for y. And we're going to look at that. So now, let's write our own. Okay? So, always, it depends on where you want to start. If you want to start with the y-intercept, you can. So here's my y-intercept. This is my b. It is 1, 2, 3 down from the origin, so -3. And then I can count slope. Rise 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, rise over run, 1 over 4. We're not going to write slope as a decimal, because remember, we have to be able to count it. So when we write our slope-intercept form, right, y equals mx plus or minus b, I have y equals, what was m? M was our slope, 1/4. X and y, stay x and y. Our b is a negative, so this is a -3. Let's try this one. If you want to start with the slope this time, you can. It doesn't matter which one you start with. Notice our line is going down, so this is a negative slope. So you keep that in mind. You're going to have a negative number at some point. So we're going to count down 1, 2, 3, and over 1, 2, 3, 4. So -3 over 4. That does not simplify. We're going to leave it. We're not going to write 0.75. And then here is my b, my y-intercept. okay, at positive 1. You can write the plus if you want, you don't have to. So what is our equation? Y equals m. We're going to put the negative 3/4 in place of m. X, what is the b? It is 1. So I want you to pause me right now, and I want you to try 3 and 4, and then we'll unpause and we'll check how we did. So welcome back. Here is a negative graph. It's going down, so down 2 over 1, so negative 2 over 1. You can also write negative 2. When you write your equation, you can have either of those. The b value, here's my b. It is up 1, 2, 3, 4. Y equals negative 2x plus 4. You can also write y equals negative 2 over 1x plus 4. Remember, we write that slope as a fraction or a whole number, because if I have this equation and I have to go back to here, I know I can put a 1 underneath there. On number 4, oh, look at that. This one is proportional. All our other ones were non-proportional. So this means that our b value is 0 because it goes through the origin. So our slope is rise 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2 over 5, not 5 over 2. Y equals 2/5 x. You can put plus 0 if you want, but it's not necessary. So hopefully you did well. If you have a question, go ahead and ask. So then we just looked at a graph and wrote the equation. What if I give you the equation and you need to draw the graph? All right, so step 1, identify m and b. Identify which is your slope, which is your y-intercept. Then we are going to graph, step 2, graph b. Okay, this is your y-intercept. So to do that, you're going to count up or down, depending on if it's a positive or negative, on the y-axis. And we will demonstrate this. Step 3, from your y-intercept, count rise over run. And then you're going to connect your dots. And connect dots. All right, so let's see this in action. Okay, identify your m and your b. Our m is always the coefficient of x, so m is 2/3. B is negative 1. So on the graph, that looks like 0, negative 1. That's the y-intercept. So again, B is your beginning. That tells us you're going to start there when you're graphing it. So up or down on the y-axis, it's a negative. I'm going to go down. So dot at 0, negative 1. And from there, I'm going to count my rise over run. So I'm going to count up 2 over 3. You can do it multiple times if you like. Up 2 over 3. And we're going to connect those dots. Keep in mind, just on a side note, we can also write this as negative 2 over negative 3 because a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So to get these other points, we would go down 2 and back 3, down 2 and back 3. Look how nice and neat that lines up. All right. You only need to have a minimum of 2 points graph to draw it, but that's another way you can look at it. All right, let's do a couple more together, and then I'm going to have you graph some on your own. Identify m and b. M is 1/3. B is negative 4. So this is going to go through 0, negative 4. Keep in mind, my slope is positive. My line should be going up when I draw this. So we're going to start with the b. 0, negative 4 is here. Count down 4 from the origin. And we're going to rise 1 and run 3. You can do it again multiple times. You can also go down 1 and back 3 for the reason we said earlier. And look, my line is increasing. So yay, looks good. All right, let's graph this one. M, -5. Now that's a whole number. Remember, when we're graphing, it needs to be a fraction. -5/1. B is 3, so this is going to go through 0, 3. Always start with the beginning. B, 1, 2, 3 up because it's a positive. And now -5, so I'm counting down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and +1 is to the right. I don't have room to do another one, so this is a pretty steep line. Okay? So I want you to try number 3 and 4. I want you to pause me and then come back and check how you did. So welcome back. Here is your slope and y-intercept. Notice there's no number in front of this x, so there is a 1. So our slope is 1/1. Because 1 as a fraction, just put a 1 underneath. And my b is a +2, so I'm going to go through 0, 2. 1, 2, up 1/1, up 1/1. I can go down 1 and back 1. There's my line. The slope is positive. It's increasing. And then we have this last one, M and B. My slope is 3, or 3/1. Notice I don't have, this is proportional. So my B is 0. It's going to go through the origin. Here's my origin, up 3 and over 1. Can go down 3 and back 1. Okay? So now I would like you to complete the y-intercept paper that I've left for you. And then if you finish that, you can do the slope and y-intercept. Let us know if you have any questions.